Hello everybody, it is me, Alex the Hunted, and welcome everyone to the Ultimate Godzilla Countdown. We've done the Ultimate Godzilla Movie Countdown, we've done the Ultimate Godzilla Kaiju Countdown. It's time that we did the countdown for the big man himself. About a month ago I asked you guys to vote for your favourite top 10 Godzillas. Your rankings would have then been scored, with first place getting 10 points, second place getting 9 points, and so on until 10th got a single point. And after quite a bit of mathematics, I've totted up all the scores and got the final ranking for this Ultimate Godzilla Countdown. This was what you guys voted for. And I can say this was the closest poll that we've ever done. Over 500 of you cast votes. And it has been the case in the past that the number one pick has usually just ran away with it. But not this time. First place changed hands quite a few times. And this final ranking has quite a few upsets in it. So let us begin, shall we, with the Ultimate Godzilla Countdown. Number 25. Third Street Godzilla. Technically, it could be said that Third Street Godzilla is the first Godzilla in the Ruan era of Godzilla. Having a cameo appearance in Always Sunny on 3rd Street number 2, I believe that's what it's called, I actually haven't watched the movie, but it's something like that. He is also Toho's first fully CGI Godzilla. Now obviously in the past they've used CGI for some of the Godzillas, but this was Toho's first fully CGI Godzilla that never got a suit. And, well, he has very limited screen time, and he even uses the 98 Godzilla Raw. Third Street Godzilla is pretty much a very back-to-basics Godzilla design. He looks like a cross between the 1954 Godzilla and more of a Heisei look, also having the whited-eyed eyes that the GMK Godzilla had. As a design, I think he's really good. I actually would have liked to have seen this design in a movie. Unfortunately, well, he was in a movie, but he just had a short cameo. But I will say, this Godzilla has more of a reputation, not from the movie he was in, but more from, it's more infamous for being used as a Godzilla in a lot of fake Godzilla trailers for the new Godzilla movie that was definitely coming out, and this wasn't a fake trailer. This was in the early days of YouTube, and when, well, especially for me, when I was pretty much in my young age, just learning the internet, just finding out YouTube, and, you know, in the early teenagers, I was pretty much very naive, a massive Godzilla fan, and, well, I fell for pretty much a few of them. It's a very convincing Godzilla design, and it's a bit of a shame that it was never used in the movie, but the clips that were used, mostly on YouTube, of it, it's definitely convincing that this would have been a trailer for a Godzilla movie. I'm actually surprised he came last, because, well, yes, he has very, very, very limited screen time, as you are no doubt seeing from the repeated clip I'm showing over and over again. He's a very great design, and the scene that he is in was brilliant. It should have been really the benchmark for Toho for saying what they would do for Godzilla movies from here on out. I didn't expect him to come last. I did expect him to come low on the list, but I didn't expect him to come last. I like him as a design, he has nothing else apart from really his design, and he is the Godzilla that came last in this Ultimate Countdown. Number 24. Mosuko Goji. Coming in at second to last place is a surprise, I bet, for some of you, is probably the worst looking Godzilla that was ever in a full Godzilla movie. Mosuko Goji was used in Son of Godzilla. A completely new redesign, and a really baffling one at that. He has been compared to looking like the Cookie Monster on drugs, and well, you can sort of see it. I imagine that his design was made so that he would look more like Manila, and there is a kind of a resemblance between the two of them, but my god, does that not mean that they're both good designs, because Christ, this Godzilla does not look good. I would probably say he is the worst looking Godzilla by design, not by suit. I think that one goes to a later entry on this. And this was the Godzilla that was used in Son of Godzilla, giving us the introduction to Manila, so maybe he's getting a bit of backlash for saving Manila and giving us Manila in this world and not leaving him to die to the Kamakurases. As a character, this is probably the most humanized Godzilla, especially in the Showa era. Because, well, he has a son to look after now, they give Godzilla a lot of more human traits. He's a very strict dad, even threatening to hit Manila a few times if he doesn't learn how to use his atomic breath, but he will protect Manila to his end. Son of Godzilla was kind of the first Godzilla movie where Godzilla was treated as a full-blown superhero good guy. And maybe it was Manila that made that effect on him and made him become more of the, well, the father, the good guy hero that we know him as today. He's Dadzilla, the king of the dads. And I bet you guys are surprised that he's the lowest ranking Godzilla that was actually used in a Godzilla movie. I bet you were expecting a different Godzilla to come bottom of the official Godzilla movie Godzillas. But no, it's the Son of Godzilla Godzilla. He's the Godzilla that became a dad, and also was used in quite a lot of water scenes in the Showa era, mainly because I think he was probably the most toughest built Godzilla suit or something like that, or he was just a Godzilla suit that they wanted to use to take up the water damage, because I mean, Christ, look at him. Water damage wouldn't make him look any more ugly. Number 23.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, breathing fire, his head in the sky. Godzilla, Godzilla, Godzilla.
Godzilla from the Hanna-Barbera series. The first Godzilla to break the 100-point barrier, the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla was used in, well, the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla series. A very different Godzilla design, not even allowed to use the Godzilla Roar, because, well, you know how Toho are with their copyright. The Hanna-Barbera Godzilla was probably the first Godzilla for, I would imagine, a lot of my older audience, being that this was a Godzilla made during Hanna-Barbera's reign as the ultimate cartoon factory. While the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla never fought any of the other Toho monsters, you could say that this one kind of looks like Rodan and these two kind of look like Baragon. The Hanna-Barbera Godzilla definitely had an array of villains to fight, in the first series anyway. During the second series they clearly were running out of ideas because Godzilla just ended up fighting a bunch of giant versions of normal animals, mostly squids and octopuses and stuff like that. He is a very different type of Godzilla. Also being a dad for Godzuki, basically the scrappy duo of the Godzilla franchise, even more than Manila you could say. Seems to me that you guys don't like the dad Godzillas. And he is a very different Godzilla, being completely green, even his scales are green. Not having atomic breath, more like just a basic fire breath, and also for some reason having laser eyes. Unless, who knows, maybe Shin Godzilla will have an eye beam later on. Yes, the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla, 23rd on our list, the first cartoon Godzilla, and maybe the first Godzilla for a lot of my older audience, I might say. But then again, I could be completely wrong. I don't really know how Godzilla was marketed in the early days. Especially in the UK, I don't actually think he actually had any marketing in the UK. Anyway, moving on to the next number. Number 22. The Gyoshichi Goji. The Godzilla that was used in Godzilla Raids Again. He, in my honest opinion, would probably be the worst Godzilla, and that's just because of his design and his suit. It's clear that Toho made this suit very quickly and very cheaply, and he just doesn't look right. Obviously they had to slim the original Godzilla suit down if he was going to fight Godzilla because, well, it was just too big and too awkward to move about in to do a fight scene. So I can understand why they slimmed it down, but the sheer rush job that was Godzilla Raids Again means that they were very limited in the job that they could do, and, well, this was the end result. It's not a good job. I don't blame the people who made the suit, I blame probably the massively rushed schedule that they had to make this movie in. As a Godzilla, he's very much like the original 1954 Godzilla. He doesn't really have much of a character. He's very animalistic, and you can see that in his fight with Anguirus. These two don't really pull off any kind of moves, they just sort of, well, they growl and stand off and scratch and bite. They don't really do any punches or anything like that. These two behave like animals. The black and white definitely does help this Godzilla, making him look, well, he looks better. I mean, Christ, can you imagine what this Godzilla suit would look like in colour? But this Godzilla was only used in this one movie, and from here on out the suits would get a lot better in the Showa era anyway. And he is the Godzilla that we will be stuck with for the rest of the Showa era. So yeah, this Godzilla becomes the same Godzilla that has a son, fights off the Kilax, lives on Monster Island, gets a cute anime face, dances on the moon, does a tail slide, and fights the evil mechanical doppelganger from space. It's the same Godzilla. Unlike most people starting off their career, his first appearance wasn't his best, but he makes up for it later down the line. So yes, the Gyoshichi Goji is 22 on this list. Number 21. Tora Goji. Ah yes, I bet you guys are expecting him to be last, but no, he is beaten out a few Godzillas and even a few official Toho Godzillas. Now, as a design, I agree that if it wasn't a Godzilla design, it would be a pretty good design. Yes, it would be a good design if it was something like the Beast of 20,000 Fathom remake, but no, it was for Godzilla, making this a Godzilla design, an official Godzilla design that Toho did sign off on. And it just didn't really work, did it? They didn't get a lot right with this Godzilla, did they? They at least could use the roar in some part. But he doesn't have atomic breath. He isn't vulnerable to the military. He gets killed by fucking missiles, for Christ's sake. So he does get a lot of hate. That's the thing. If he wasn't Godzilla and he wasn't marketed as Godzilla, this would be fine. But this was Godzilla. He was an official Godzilla. So he will be judged as one. I do like how he's getting a bit of a second life now in other medias, especially in the comics, where he's being used to his proper potential, not as a Godzilla, but as a sort of Godzilla variant. I really do like his use in the anime trilogy prequel book, where he's sort of used as an invasive species, as a parasite species in a way that, because they can reproduce asexually, because if one survives and they can have so many eggs, that they can, well, infect and infest an entire city, entire country in a very short space of time. They're sort of like locusts in a way. So that is a very good idea for a Godzilla. Well, maybe for a Godzilla if they used them in that way and not just, well, did whatever the hell they did in 1998 Godzilla. Seriously, it's basically just more of a remake of The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. Really, I think this movie would be accepted better if it was called The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. But no, he is Godzilla. Not really a king of the monsters, just a... He's a monster. Moving on to the next number. Number 20. Chibi-Goji! Yes, in 20th place is Chibi-Goji. And as you can tell from the point scoring, it's clear that some of the points were, well, you know, troll postings, troll pointing, but hey, they count as points. So Chibi-Godzilla gets 20th place, beating 3 other official Godzillas. How brilliant is that? Chibi-Godzilla definitely fits in the Ruwan era because this has basically been Toho's experimental era. And why not experiment with a very, very kid-friendly Godzilla? A Godzilla for the very young generation, to make the very young generation into Godzilla fans. I can absolutely get behind that. He's a cute little pet Godzilla who lives with, I think his mum or something, I don't know, it's his owner. And he gets up to all sorts of shenanigans with Mothra, Rodan and even King Ghidorah and Anguirus in the books. He's been used in a variety of things, from animation to short stories to from film previews telling you to not use your phone during a film. He's sort of been the sort of a mascot, little young mascot character for Toho, and using Godzilla. Why not? Godzilla is one of those characters who can just adapt to any situation, so why not be a Godzilla that can just be a small child, a pet, a kid that can, you know, have fun adventures and get into shenanigans. I'm all behind that. Godzilla doesn't have to be 100% serious and all angsty and all extreme all the time. Godzilla can be fun, and for kids. There is a large amount of the fandom that are young kids that like Godzilla, so I'm all behind this. Long may he chibi reign. Number 19. Daisenzo Goji. This was the Godzilla used in the Showa era, used in Ebra, Horror from the Deep and Invasion of the Astro Monster, and was also the Godzilla that was the suit used as Jigra, I believe he's called, to fight Ultraman. This was basically as close as we got to Godzilla vs Ultraman. This is the start of Godzilla's hero turn in the Showa era. He's given more of a friendlier look. I mean, he still looks like a giant monster and he will absolutely kill you, but his eyes were made bigger and he has more of a human personality. He gets more human personality traits in the 2 movies that he's featured in than any other Godzilla previously. Well, maybe apart from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, where Godzilla just tells Mothra to fuck off. This was also the Godzilla that has the infamous scene of him dancing on an alien planet. It's his happy moment. Godzilla was absolutely here to kick ass and take name. This was the start of Godzilla's transition period. This was the start of Hero Godzilla, having his second fight with his arch-nemesis King Ghidorah, and then also fighting terrorism against the Red Bamboo, and also a giant lobster. And he was the only Godzilla to date to fight Ultraman. Well, not really, but you know, you look at this and you know, oh yeah, they were clearly going for Godzilla versus Ultraman. This is very much where Godzilla's atomic breath becomes way more of a actual beam than some fire, which it pretty much was in the earlier movies. Now it's definitely more of a beam attack. He even has a curve. So yeah, this is the Godzilla at the start of his transition period into becoming a hero. For better or worse. Number 18. Goji, the Godzilla used in the anime trilogy, the polarizing anime trilogy, shall we say. Goji is by far and away the biggest Godzilla that we have ever had, and will probably remain the biggest Godzilla ever for a long time. Watch the next Godzilla to be officially announced be bigger than Goji. This Godzilla is very different because technically he is a plant-based Godzilla, because he grows. He grows and became massive, and it's very interesting how this is basically a Godzilla that has won the planet, so evolution has evolved around him. So they had smaller versions of Godzilla and other creatures that evolved around Godzilla. And he has a massive amount of power in his atomic breath. And that's about it really, because he doesn't really do a lot of anything else apart from move about slowly and fire his atomic breath. Well, he has that tail attack, which I don't think he rarely uses. But he is the tallest Godzilla to date, a massive hulking monstrosity of a kaiju. He is ginormous. He dwarfs every other Godzilla to date. However, he actually weighs the same amount as Kaiser Ghidorah, so I will bring this up again. Final Wars Godzilla can technically pick up and lift and swing around Goji. So in a way that could mean that the Godzilla, if you go from size and weight distribution, means that this Godzilla is not that big, not that durable if you think about it, because the size compared to his weight means that the ratio isn't that good. In fact, it could be worse than a lot of other Godzillas. So maybe he's not the most durable, but then again, we never really saw that. Well, we actually know we did, because he did lose a scale. The humans did manage to damage him and he'd rip off a scale off his back in the second movie. So yeah, maybe he's one of the most powerful Godzillas, but he might not be one of the most durable. But he is, by far and away, the largest Godzilla that we have ever had. I was expecting him to do a lot better due to recency bias, but no, only being 18th is not the best, wasn't the best for him. Number 17. 84 Goji. This was the first Godzilla in the Heisei era. They definitely went for a more Showa era design for the first Godzilla of the Heisei era. But that did leave the problem that sometimes, well, his eyes weren't pointing in the right directions. That sometimes gave him a very derpy look. But apart from that, there are some times when he is shot very, very well and looks very threatening and intimidating. He was the Godzilla used in The Return of Godzilla, which was the first solo Godzilla since the 1954 original movie. And you can tell with this reboot they wanted to go back to a more serious era with Godzilla, making him not really a symbol for nuclear destruction, but just nuclear power, and also a sort of Cold War era symbol, being that he was basically the representation of the nukes in the Cold War. Him being more of the representation of the tensions between America and Russia during the Cold War, and Japan being in the middle of it. And Godzilla was used to basically show what could happen to Japan if, well, the Cold War didn't become so cold anymore. Gone was the kid-friendly, chibi and cute-looking Godzilla. Gone was the hero Godzilla. This was a force of nature. This was Godzilla back to being a force of nature. A true dominant force. And yes, while he technically was defeated at the end of the movie, or he actually was killed, depending if you watch the American redub where he has that scream of pain, but in Godzilla vs. Biollante, I mean, we know Godzilla can just take a bath in some lava. So maybe that scream of pain was more he stubbed his toe when he fell in. And that was the 84 Godzilla. While he didn't look amazing, there was a lot more of this Godzilla to come. A lot better design as well. Number 16. Godzilla from the series, well, the 1998 series. This was definitely what you take when you have a decent design for a Godzilla and make it better. They improved the 98 Godzilla design, making him much more bulkier, giving him atomic breath, and making him, well, much more like Godzilla. He fights monsters, he takes on the military, he doesn't take that much damage from conventional weaponry. Hell, he even fights a Mechagodzilla, technically. In a way, the Godzilla the series is what the 1998 movie should have been. The monster designs also for this series were pretty damn good. Sort of looking like body horror sort of kaijus, like some of them basically looking like Cronenberg monsters or something you'd see on Alien. This series was great. It's very underrated in my opinion. I think it's probably the best thing that America has done with the Godzilla license. Yes, that is including the legendary movies. I think the animated series is way better, and really, if Toho wants to make a more anime Godzilla, especially with Singular Point and stuff like that, make it a traditional Monster of the Week series. Have Godzilla fight another monster. That'd be much better. It really isn't that hard to do these animes right, because, well, I mean, America did it with the bloody 98 Godzilla and it was amazing. It shouldn't be this difficult. Yes, this Godzilla is great. He has a character, he has a personality, he technically has a dad while he's bonded to Brody from the first movie, not played by Matthew Broderick, thankfully, and also has a bit of a love life, as he nearly had a kid. Very nearly. Oh well, tragedy as always for Godzilla. He can't be happy. So yeah, the Godzilla from Godzilla series is technically the only Godzilla that we have seen have a partner and have a mate and nearly have a child with. Obviously with all the other Godzillas and the juniors and the Milliners and stuff like that, it's sort of up in the air if Godzilla's the dad or just more of an adoptive parent. But he's the first official Godzilla parent. But he's the only genuine Godzilla dad. Well, nearly anyway, because that damn turtle stopped that from happening. But he nearly had a mate, he was nearly happy. But he had to take that away. Poor Godzilla. Still, he had an absolutely badass series to make up for it. Really making up for the mistake that was the 1998 movie. Number 15. King Goji. This was the first Godzilla to fight King Kong in King Kong vs. Godzilla. This is his only movie appearance, and he definitely put on a bit of weight when being trapped in the ice from Godzilla Raids Again. They definitely made this Godzilla much more bulkier, giving him wide teeth and even a very wide mouth, which in some angles makes him look really bad, giving him like a toad-like appearance. This was the first Godzilla that we saw in colour as well. Godzilla again doesn't have much of a personality in this movie, but this was also the start of when they started to show Godzilla's indestructibility, with the military creating a very elaborate plan to basically trap Godzilla in a giant pit and blow him up with explosives, which doesn't work, he just climbs right out. But this was also the first Godzilla to establish his weakness to electricity, which is something that the 54 Godzilla didn't have any problem with, but this one does. Now that's weird. Basically they just had to neuter Godzilla so that King Kong could stand a bit more of a chance. That won't be the last time they do that either. While he doesn't have much of a personality, he does still show some personality moments where he seems to show some joy in beating up King Kong and, well, burying his body in rocks and stuff like that. He seemed to show some sort of enjoyment in that. But he was the first Godzilla that was seen in colour. While he didn't have much of a personality, he was the first Godzilla to fight King Kong, and it was either a draw or a loss, depending on who you ask. I mean, Toho said it was a loss, some people say it was a draw, some people even say Godzilla won. But you know, they had their rematch. It took a while, they had their rematch. Number 14. Chillguydraws. This was the Godzilla used in Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla's Revenge, Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, and Godzilla vs. Gigan. Out of the Showa Godzillas, he is the Godzilla who got the most work. And I would say, out of the Showa Godzillas, he's probably the most iconic. Well, the most well known, being that his movies were the ones that were shown most on TV. He is also the Godzilla I think had the best rounded appearance, where he looked more cuter and less threatening, but he didn't look completely chibi and ridiculous. But funnily enough, he actually lost to that Godzilla, which I didn't expect. I thought this would be the highest ranking of the Showa era Godzillas, but no. Only number 14. He was also my first Godzilla, being that Destroy All Monsters and Godzilla vs. Gigan were my first Godzilla movies. He was the Godzilla that I think made Godzilla famous around the world, well, apart from obviously the 54 Godzilla. But really, you would say that for a lot of people's first exposure to Godzilla, this would probably be it, I would say. He had a lot of character, was an absolute badass, and wasn't too silly. He doesn't really have any ridiculous moments to his name. Well, oh, see, yes. This is the Godzilla that decided he could fly. Apart from that moment, I just realised this is the Godzilla that does fly. Apart from that ridiculous moment, he doesn't have many other ridiculous moments to his name. Some people would say flying is ridiculous, I say it's badass. And the Chillguydraws is probably the most iconic Godzilla from the Showa era, apart from obviously the original 54 Godzilla. But only 14 on this list. Number 13. Goji. This was the Godzilla used in Mothra vs. Godzilla and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Really, this is a really important Godzilla in a way because it's the Godzilla that fought his two most favourite other kaijus, Mothra and King Ghidorah. This was the Godzilla, I think, that really established his indestructibility, especially in Mothra vs Godzilla, where they just unload everything they have at him and nothing works. Not even Mothra can stop him, really. I mean, obviously she was old and dying at the time, but she couldn't stop Godzilla, only really delay him. And this was the Godzilla that first fought his ultimate nemesis in King Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. And also, thinking about it, also this was the Godzilla that also fought Rodan. So yeah, 3 of Toho's big 5 fought this version of Godzilla. So really, he is probably one of the most important Godzillas there is, next to maybe the 54 Godzilla and the Heisei Godzilla, as up there as the most important Godzillas. While he does have a bit of a wobbly jaw, especially his top lip likes to wobble about, and he is a bit clumsy at times, there are some times, especially when he's shot with his big eyebrows that just look evil, that make him look very intimidating and very threatening. When he's just looking down at you with no emotion, like he's just, he like sort of like a serial killer in a way, like a slasher villain, like Michael Myers, just staring at you wanting to kill you. But he's still a bit of a force of nature. I wouldn't call him outright evil like other Godzillas are. But definitely a strong and very important Godzilla. Coming to think about it, he's probably one of the most important Godzillas there is. And number 13, which is unlucky for some. Number 12. Goji. This was the Godzilla used in Legendary's first Godzilla movie of their MonsterVerse, Godzilla 2014. And I'm surprised he actually came this low and he's not in the top 10. I was expecting him to be in the top 10. I think that's probably because this design, well, it is a very good design for Godzilla and was only used in one movie. I think it's because that they took this design in later movies and improved it so much that it sort of makes this design look a little less good. It's not bad by any stretch of the word. And I know people would criticise it for being fat Godzilla, but let's be honest, when's Godzilla not been fat? Apart from the Raids Again Godzilla, Godzilla's always been a bit fat, he's been a bit chubby. This Godzilla is also a fantastic character Godzilla. You can just tell by looking at his face what he is thinking and how he is thinking through these situations. It's a great, I know it sounds weird saying this, it's a great performance by Godzilla, by the actor who was doing the acting for Godzilla, doing his reactions and how he acts and his body movement and body language and facial language. They did a very good job. I hope he gets to play Godzilla again and even play Godzilla outside of the Legendary movies. I'd actually love to see him in a Godzilla suit, that would be great. But the Goji, the original Godzilla for 2014 Godzilla, yes, it's definitely, you can see where they took this Godzilla design and made it look slimmer and stronger in later movies, but for the first Godzilla, and especially America's second attempt at making a Godzilla movie and a Godzilla design, they really made sure they got it right this time. This looks like Godzilla, but it's also new in a way. It tries something a bit different. It makes him look more reptilian and more like an animal than previous Godzillas, because they could use CGI and make him look more like an animal, but also still keep that human in a suit aspect to him. It's a great design that was massively improved in later movies, and he doesn't have much of a character. Well, he has a brilliant character. It's a shame he doesn't get much screen time because, you know, they like to cut away from that. Why do you want to not? You don't want to watch Godzilla. You want to see Brody do stuff. Anyway, enough complaining about the movie. This Godzilla, it's a great Godzilla design. He has a great personality, and when you do see him, he does absolutely kick ass. It's just that we see him kick even more ass later on in this universe. And in 11th and 10th place, we had a tie on points, so deciding their placement came down to number of votes cast. So meaning in 11th place is Chillguyra Goji, the Godzilla that was used in Godzilla Singular Point of the animated series. Maybe I'll get a season 2, we don't really know much yet. But in series 1 anyway, this was the Godzilla used for that series. And it's again, it's in the Toho's Rwanda experimental age of Godzilla, where they're trying something new with him. Well, new in design wise. When it comes to actual what they did with him, they actually, well, just used Shin Godzilla again and made him evolve. But this time, they made him, each form of him, look like other kaiju. So we had Titanosaurus, even though it wasn't Titanosaurus. Then we had Varan, even though it wasn't Varan. And then we had Gorosaurus, maybe, but also some people said they'd see Manila in that, but not. And then until we got to the Ultimate Godzilla, the final form of this Godzilla. And while he does have a massive, massive jaw, which people either love or hate, he does also have a very sinister looking smile on him when that jaw is closed. This is Godzilla again being more of a force of nature and really sort of being a calamity kaiju, because this red mist that he brings along with him spawns kaijus, making him a very deadly threat. A world-ending threat in a way, because if this red mist just engulfs the world, then, well, basically that's it for life on Earth. Well, it's it for humanity on Earth anyway. Life will survive and find a way. This is also a Godzilla who had other kaiju spawn from his red mist. We had Rodan and what was Gabra but not, and Manda, but maybe not Anguirus. We actually don't know if Anguirus was spawned from the mist. I don't think he was, but anyway. This Godzilla he's definitely in this experimental design era where he's again a bit more of a reptilian design, where especially with a dinosaur look where the hips are massive to use to take on the weight of the rest of the body and for running, and I could definitely see this Godzilla being one of the more faster and agile Godzillas. One of them that could, you know, run, and he looks like he's sort of like in the Velociraptor sort of way, that he's built to run and be fast and stalk and ambush sort of kaijus. He's threatening, and his atomic breath might be the best in the entire series. Maybe not in power wise, but I mean in design wise, especially given the circles around the atomic breath. It's a very interesting design. I really like it. I just hope Singular Points gets the second series so we can get more of this Godzilla in action. Maybe you can fight other kaijus. It's going to be interesting to see also how the Mechagodzilla, even though it's not called Mechagodzilla, looks in this universe. Oh, those sequel teasers. Number 10, and drawing on points. Megaro Goji. Megaro Goji was the final Godzilla of the Showa era, used in Godzilla vs. Megalon, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and Terror of Mechagodzilla. This was when Godzilla went full superhero, full kid-friendly superhero. This is the Godzilla that did the infamous tail slide, when he went full boxer in Godzilla vs. Megalon, where they basically, Toho just decided to make a kids movie with Jet Jaguar and Godzilla in it. But I think it's also in the Mechagodzilla 2 movies where this Godzilla really does shine. He's still a kid-friendly superhero and has a very wacky and kid-friendly personality, but he's a lot more... He definitely doesn't look as kid-friendly as way. They edited the design a little bit to make his eyes look more menacing and more aggressive looking. So you can clearly see he's the hero, but he's also a bit of an angry hero in a way. He's more aggressive looking and wanting to kick some ass, which I mean he would want to when he sees another version of him that just happens to be a Mechagodzilla, and he also beat up his best friend. Full of personality, full of special moves, and was probably the kid-friendly favourite of the Godzilla franchise, especially in the Showa era. He was kicking ass. He was saving the world from alien invasion or under-Earth invasion. How do you call Zootopia? Under-Earth invasion? as his job, and he was also the Godzilla who appeared in the, I think it wasn't the Ultraman, it was, I forget what its name, but it's basically he appeared in the Ultraman rip-off series that Toho made and was the hero and saving the day in that as well. I'm probably going to be ripped in the comments for not remembering its name. But he was Godzilla, he was the final king of the monsters for the Showa era, and he went out with a bit of a friendly face, but a threatening badass at the same time. And just makes the top 10. Number 9. Chillguydraws. Well, this is going to be a bit awkward, isn't it? The least favourite Godzilla, according to me anyway, is 9th place on this list, has made the top 10. Well, to be fair, I honestly, as a design, I think this is probably one of the best Godzilla designs that we have ever had. He just looks so good. He looks very alligatory, like a crocodile, but also he just looks brilliant, I think, in my opinion. The only problem I really had was his depiction, really. Now, here's how I put it. As a motivation, wanting to attack the humans because, well, basically they have desecrated his grave, that's how I sort of see it. That's a really good motivation for a Godzilla. I just wish he was described as the threat that they went to making a Mechagodzilla with. I mean, the last movie before Godzilla against Mechagodzilla was GMK, which has probably the most intimidating Godzilla in it, and that's the problem I had with the Godzilla, is I never got that level of intimidation from him. I never got the whole threat sense from him. And that was a problem, especially in the fights where it definitely never felt like he was, you know, winning the fight. But that's enough of me ragging on it. He came in 9th place. He's a really awesome design. And I can absolutely see why this was the design that was picked to be used in the Godzilla Rulers of the Earth comic. As Godzilla suits go, he's probably actually the best Godzilla suit in the Millennium Era, I think. In terms of quality of the suit, he doesn't look as rubbery as other Godzillas in the Millennium Era do have that problem with. His scales look like genuine scales, and I do like his scar pattern in the Tokyo SOS sequel movie. I think probably the major other problem that he has to make him not so intimidating is his eyes are a bit too big, in my opinion. Like, they do look a bit too, well, puppy dog eyes in some shots. But this is a really good Godzilla design with a not so great Godzilla portrayal, in my opinion. But he came 9th in the survey, so you guys clearly do like him. Number 8. Goji. This was the first Godzilla of the Millennium Era, used in Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla vs Megaguirus, even though it was technically a reboot, so it was a different Godzilla, but they used the exact same suit, which made it really confusing, because as a kid I thought Godzilla vs Megaguirus was the sequel to Godzilla 2000, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people thought that too. But yes, Mechagodzilla, it's very interesting how they went with this way for his Godzilla, because, you know, this was the first Godzilla back after the 1998 movie, so you would have thought they would have played it safe with his design, but no, they did something a bit more experimental with him. He's a lot more greener than other Godzillas, and his spines are red and pink instead of blue, and he has orange atomic breath. He also became the sort of mascot character for the Pipeworks Godzilla games, not the Heisei Godzilla. Which is a small complaint I have about the Pipeworks games. If you're going to make the mascot Godzilla, just change his atomic breath to blue. Also, this Godzilla suit is probably the one that's been kept in the best condition and used a lot in outside publicity stuff. He's been used in baseball games, he's been in publicity photo shoots, he was even used as publicity for the Gareth Edwards, the 2014 Godzilla. He was used as the Godzilla suit for the Slot game, where he fought King Ghidorah, Gigan and Nangiris. He's done a lot. They've done a lot with this Godzilla suit outside of the movies. As a Godzilla in his movie appearances, he's actually probably one of the Godzillas with the most character. Well, not so much in Godzilla 2000, he seems definitely more of like an animal, that's how he behaves in those movies. But in Godzilla vs Megaguirus, he has probably one of the best fight scenes with Megaguirus, and he just seems to have a personality in that fight where he gets annoyed and aggravated and just gets tired of Megaguirus and her shit and just decides, I'm going to belly flop on her. And I definitely wouldn't call this Godzilla a bad guy. I wouldn't call him evil. He's just, again, the force of nature. He fits the perfect balance of what they should do with a Godzilla character. He's not evil, but he's not good at the same time. Like, for these kinds of movies, anyway. He is definitely a good Godzilla. He was definitely a good Godzilla to show the Americans how to truly do a Godzilla after they messed it up. And he came 8th on this survey. Number 7. Shin Goji, the Godzilla that was used obviously in Shin Godzilla, and is probably the most experimental Godzilla that Toho have ever done. It's sort of the abomination Godzilla, where it really shouldn't exist, and in many ways in fan theories it doesn't want to exist either, because it feels like it's in constant pain and agonizing pain constantly, from how the soundtrack is in a way from its point of view. Having a Godzilla that evolves throughout the movie is such a good idea that they pretty much used it again in Godzilla Singular Point, but I think they did it much better in Shin Godzilla. Having Godzilla just mutate into like this sort of just mutant pile of meat and bones, where he just doesn't look right on purpose. It's such a smart idea, and he definitely has the hallmarks of Evangelion all over him. Just how his mouth and head are just deformed and they don't look right, and there's just teeth everywhere, and his eyes are small and buggy, and his skin is just jagged and lumpy and just all over the place, like it's just growing out of his bones. It's just disgusting and brilliant at the same time. And the fact that they gave him so many powers. That he doesn't just have atomic breath, he has like an atomic laser he can shoot out of his back, he has its atomic breath out of his tail, and they even theorize that eventually this Godzilla can mutate to be able to fly. It's just such a brilliant idea and just so amazing, but however I have one simple problem with it, and it's nothing to do with the Godzilla himself, it's more to do with Toho using him as sort of the mascot marketing Godzilla. Now, I can understand why they're doing it, because he's the most recent Toho Godzilla, and you know, it's been one of the biggest success stories from the Godzilla franchise, and it won all those awards. But I mean, for the marketing for the 65th anniversary Godzilla, like to have him all over all the posters and have him be the statue outside of Toho Studios, I mean, I don't really think it works. Like, the Heisei Godzilla is so much more iconic, as we will see. No spoilers. And he just works so much better as the Godzilla to, you know, market Godzilla with. I mean, look at this thing. Look at him. Do you actually want to buy something from this Godzilla? He looks like he wants to eat your face. But apart from that, there's nothing really wrong with this Godzilla. It's a fantastic Godzilla for a fantastic movie, and it's just such a brilliant idea for this experimental era that Toho have been doing. Number 6. Burning Goji. This was the final Godzilla in the Heisei era. Burning Godzilla is such a tragic Godzilla in a way, because while it is technically, you could argue, the most powerful Godzilla that we have ever had, he is so powerful it is killing him. Those glowing spots all over his body aren't just power. They're sort of like a cancerous disease. They're his body just being eaten away by the sheer amount of energy inside of him. That his body is basically melting down, and these sort of glowing lesions, just glowing patches all over him, aren't a sign of strength. They're a sign of his body just breaking down. But he is also so powerful and so badass. Like, this is a Godzilla dying, and he still manages to kick the most powerful kaiju in the Godzilla franchise's ass. This is the peak performance of Godzilla. He is just so powerful and so badass. He's dying, but he doesn't seem to care. All he wants to do is be with his son as he dies. And he also just sort of has this tragic loss because of it. Like, I think this is the first time we've ever seen Godzilla cry. The only time we've ever seen Godzilla cry was in this movie, when he lost his son. So it just proves that this Godzilla has character and cares and, you know, has feelings and loves his son, because he's just, you know, he cries, for Christ's sake. He's the king of the monsters and he's crying. That's some people would be pissed off that Godzilla does that, but I think it just gives him so much character. And I also love that if the humans can't do anything, then he will just explode and kill everyone, which is just such a Godzilla thing to do. Like, oh, I might be dying, but I'm taking you with me if I am. It is the best Godzilla death that he has ever had, and really it's just a fantastic movie for a fantastic ending of a fantastic series of a fantastic Godzilla. Burning Godzilla was 6th on this list, just missing out on the top 5. Number 5. GMK Goji. Probably one of my favourite Godzillas from my favourite Godzilla movie. Have I ever mentioned that before? GMK Godzilla is just pure evil, and I love him for it. He is the only Godzilla I would honestly call absolutely evil. Like, he hasn't got a single good bone in his body, in his spiritual resurrected body. He wants to kill everyone and everything, and he will not show any mercy. Just the sheer brutality of this Godzilla. Like how he just pummels Baragon and just stomps his head into the ground, or he bites into Ghidorah's neck, causing him to bleed everywhere, and even does a psych move on Mothra, killing her. He is just so powerful. He is the serial killer of the Godzilla franchise. He is the Michael Myers, the Jason Voorhees Godzilla. He will give no quarter in battle and will show no mercy. If you get in his way, if you get his attention, he will kill you and he will not have a second thought about it. And what's so interesting is it's not just an animalistic act, like he seems to genuinely enjoy doing this. Those blank soulless eyes do seem to show off some sort of vindictive joy in all the pain and destruction and just death that he is dishing out. And his design is just so brilliant. It's like the Heisei and the original Godzilla mixed into one with just these blank, soulless eyes that just gives him such a menacing, intimidating appearance. Yes, he is a little bit fat around the thighs, which does give him this sort of waddling run when he tries to charge at another monster. But apart from that, that's just a small niggle for just what's a fantastic evil, the most evil Godzilla in the Godzilla franchise. And number 5 in this list, and he's probably not happy about that, so he's probably going to come and kill you. Number 4. Shodai Goji, the first Godzilla, the original Godzilla, and for many the best Godzilla. The Godzilla used in the 1954 classic Gojira. While this Godzilla doesn't have, well, really any character at all, he is just the metaphor for the atomic bomb. He shows no character, no remorse. He will just kill everything in sight. He's just attacking everything. He's a force of nature. He's an unstoppable force of nature like the atomic bomb. Well, not really like the atomic bomb, but he's an unstoppable power like the atomic bomb. You cannot escape it. Men, women, children, it doesn't matter. He will get you. He is shot so perfectly as well. Low angles in dark environments and a very high frame rate to make him look more heavy and intimidating as he walks around. It just works so well. He's not Godzilla with any character. He doesn't need any character. He is pure force of nature. Big, bulky and really, really heavy, which was a real problem for when they were shooting him and for his actor playing him, because, well, it was an absolute nightmare playing Godzilla. But we have everything to thank for him because he performed it brilliantly and gave us this franchise and gave us all these Godzillas, and it started off with this Godzilla. The first Godzilla, and the Godzilla has had the most impact obviously on the franchise because he was the first and in the objectively best movie. The true birth of an icon, and boy did he have a first good movie appearance. A true icon, but only 4th on this list, which is surprising. But just because he was beaten by number 3. Final Goji. This was a big surprise for me. I did not expect this Godzilla to get 3rd in this survey. I definitely expected him to be in the top 10, but 3rd? That was a real shock for me. The Godzilla used in Godzilla Final Wars, he's a Godzilla that is full... He's really intimidating and really powerful, but also full of anime. Like, this Godzilla does, you know, kung fu moves. He punches and kicks and slides and just plays around and plays soccer and plays football and just has a real vendetta against other kaijus that aren't his friends. I mean, he did spare Anguirus, Rodan and King Caesar, but he didn't spare anyone else. Well, maybe Kumonga, but I don't know. Maybe Kumonga didn't survive that throw. He's the superhero, but also the anti-hero Godzilla. Yes, he's here destroying all the other kaijus and being an absolute badass doing it, but he's not on your side. You're just in his way. You're just lucky that he's after you, and that the bad guy aliens are just having all these monsters go after him to try and stop him, but it doesn't really work. This Godzilla was so powerful, he didn't really have any real threat throughout the entire movie until Kaiser Ghidorah showed up. Even Monster X wasn't really that much of a challenge for him. Yes, he did get a few attacks on him, but as the fight progressed, he was just kicking Monster X's ass. He's a true badass Godzilla, like all the just badass things he does in this movie, like piling 3 kaijus on top of each other, just the absolute awesome grab he does on Kamacuras. How he just has no patience for Zilla and just tail slaps and atomic breaths him in 2 moves. Like, he is just such a total badass. Yes, his badass points are knocked slightly because the humans managed to capture him in a way. But once he's free, like, they have no chance of capturing him again. It was pure luck how they got him the first time. It was a literal earthquake that had to stop him. And once he got free, there was nothing stopping him from just doing whatever the hell he likes. What an absolute badass. Not the best Godzilla suit. It was clearly made to be light and flexible so they could do all the moves with him, and it kind of has the problem that his neck is a little bit wider so that the head can fit in it, which does make him look like he's swallowing a watermelon or something like that. But apart from that, it's just an absolute badass. A true badass Godzilla, and the perfect Godzilla for his 50th anniversary, because he's an absolute badass in celebration of everything, and I said badass a lot in this entry. But yes, he is the 3rd place. He takes the bronze medal in this survey, but was beaten by... and in 2nd place... Dogoji, oh yes. 2nd place is the legendary Godzilla, Dogoji, the Godzilla used in Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. Oh, there was lots of times during this survey that he was number 1. It was a true back and forth between him and the 1st place Godzilla. And I definitely think there's a lot of recency bias in this because, well, he is the American Godzilla and he is probably the most recent Godzilla for a lot of people who have seen. And, I mean, it's not a bad Godzilla at all. Like, yeah, he's an absolute badass. They took the 2014 design and just improved it. Slimmed him down but made him look more bulky, gave him bigger spines, made his atomic breath look a lot more powerful, and gave him a lot more personality. Again, the actor who is playing Godzilla in these movies, you can definitely tell what this Godzilla is thinking about through every single moment that he is on screen. He has such a personality. He's sort of like an aging dad sort of personality, like an aging warrior character. Like, he can absolutely kick your ass, but I definitely get the feeling from this Godzilla that his best days are behind him, in a way. But he's still absolutely got it and can absolutely fight to his best. And we absolutely saw it because he was absolutely kicking King Ghidorah's ass in Godzilla King of the Monsters until King Ghidorah had that power boost move, and then he went into burning mode. And he was so powerful that in Godzilla vs. Kong they had to nerf him so that King Kong and Mechagodzilla could stand a chance against him. If Godzilla went burning again in that movie, then he would have absolutely just melted Mechagodzilla. And there was that moment in Godzilla vs. Kong where he just clearly had had enough of King Ghidorah just hitting him with that axe, so he just went ham on him and just beat the shit out of him just to put him back in his place. And he made sure that the score is now even. So that means that in probably another 60 years time we're going to have the 3rd rematch to decide who is the true King of the Monsters with a new Godzilla. I mean, I can absolutely see Godzilla lasting another 60 years and being 120. With Godzillas like this, it's absolutely possible. A truly American design, improved, made bigger, bulkier, and just better in every way. A true American King of the Monsters. But the American King of the Monsters, he was beaten, he was in second place, and beaten by the true King of the Monsters, the true King of the Godzillas, and number 1. The Heisei Godzilla. This was the Godzilla that was modified slightly throughout his appearances, from Godzilla vs. Biollante all the way up to Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, and is personally, in my opinion, and in your guys' opinion, the best Godzilla. He is just purely iconic. He's the Godzilla who has a character arc. The Godzilla that we see in Godzilla vs. Biollante is a very different character from when we see him in Godzilla vs. Destroyer, even though it's, well, you know it's the same Godzilla, but you know what I mean. He has a character arc. He changes throughout movie to movie, and that's not just in design, which has slight tweaks throughout movie to movie, but nothing big enough to really change anything. He goes from a vengeful, angry kaiju to a father figure who cares about his son and just is training him and sort of looking after him, so when he dies that there is a true King of the Monsters to take his place. Like, this Godzilla has a character arc, he has personality and a character, and he is purely iconic for a reason, because you could say this is the best Godzilla design. Like, yes, he is definitely a reptilian looking creature, but he stands up bulk right, and you know, he has atomic breath and all that stuff. Like, you see this silhouette, you think that is Godzilla. And this is also the Godzilla to get his Omega Red Heat Spiral Death Beam, which is just pure awesome when he uses it. Which is a kind of a shame that they never used it in the Legendary movies. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be another Legendary Godzilla movie. I actually kind of doubt it at the moment, because it looks like Toho want to get the license back. But anyway, the Heisei Godzilla, he is absolutely, truly iconic. The best Godzilla in the best era of Godzilla. Having a character arc, having a character and a personality, which was really hard to do in those times because they couldn't really use CGI to give him facial emotion. They had to be all in the suit performance and the animatronics, and they pull it off really, really well. This is just an awesome Godzilla, and you guys clearly agree because you made him number 1 in the Ultimate Godzilla survey. He is number 1. He nearly was beaten to second by the American Dogoji, but no. He is the true, perfect King of the Monsters, the King of the Godzillas, and number 1 in this survey, our winner of the Ultimate Godzilla survey. And that was the Ultimate Godzilla survey. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for taking part, all of you who took part in voting in this survey. I honestly have no idea what I'm going to do for the next survey, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for doing this, and be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more Godzilla stuff, and I will see you guys next time for whatever I do, probably next year. It's probably going to be the next review. Maybe I should focus more on doing the reviews instead of doing top 10s and stuff like that. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Take care. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and have a good 2022. I'm Alex the Hunted, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.